Trump 2024 senior advisor. Jason, good to have you with us. You see these numbers. Obviously, Harris is closing the gap against former President Trump, doing far better than the sitting president, Joe Biden, was doing against him. So what is your campaign strategy to turn that around at this point?
Hey, Martha, great to be with you. As you look at those numbers, really a lot of that are behavioral Democrats who are coming home. And also there's this artificial halo effect that we've seen from the media propping up Kamala Harris. So many in the mainstream media had pushed for Joe Biden to leave. And when it became clear that Kamala Harris was going to be the only one that they could get behind, then of course they had to go and make good on that. But when you talk about those character attributes, when you talk about who can actually deliver, the thing that we've seen in poll after poll, CNBC, CBS have had new polls out within the last couple of days. Who will make your financial situation better? There's only one answer: President Trump. We had the greatest economy ever just a couple short years ago. Kamala Harris broke it. And now President Trump is saying that he's going to fix it. When you look at his plans that he's put out there to continue to keep the tax cuts in place, but push for additional things such as no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, President Trump has that plan to do it. But Kamala Harris is going a different approach. She wants to get rid of the Trump tax cuts, which is going to take money out of everyone's pockets. But then also with this new price control plan, really this communist-style price control plan, this is going to completely destroy the economy, Martha. And that's why you've seen the Washington Post and the New York Times and others really club it over the head.
Yeah, they have indeed. And here's some of the Sunday show explanations from Harris surrogates about what this price gouging thing or price fixing thing is all about. Watch this.
This isn't about trying to price fix.
Presidents of both parties have tried to use the power of the FTC to rein in high prices.
People are reading too much into what has been put out there.
So you think it's smart policy, Governor?
You know what? I think that any effort we make to keep more money in Americans' pockets is worth walking the path and having the conversations.
Well, you know, you can sort of see the pretzeling going on there, trying to figure out how to make this sound like a good thing. But at the same time, in that same speech, Jason, she said that Americans will experience a Trump tax, $3,900 more per family. And it goes back to the issue of adding 10 to 20% tariffs on imported goods to the United States. She says that's going to cost American families $3,900 a month. That's a lot of money.
Well, Kamala Harris is just plain wrong. When you look at the first Trump term, we actually had record low, near record low inflation. It was 1.4% when that was handed over to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and they've shot it up. Cumulative inflation is up near 20%. We've seen certain goods go up 30, 40, 50%, mortgages up 90%. But that comment about putting more money and keeping more money in people's pockets, that's not what Kamala Harris is ultimately going to do, though. With removing the Trump tax cuts, it's going to lead to essentially a tax hike on everybody, taking more money out of people's pockets. And I don't think that she can actually go and deliver on the things that she said, things like no tax on tips or any of the other plans that she has. But this is really some voodoo math that's coming from the Kamala Harris side.
But you're not answering the question about adding $3,900 to American families through adding 10 to 20% tariffs.
But hold on. But that was proven wrong in the first Trump term because President Trump put tariffs on countries who treated us poorly, and there was no inflation. So they're just wrong when they say that. That's not going to happen. What we have seen, though, is this effectively an inflation tax that Kamala Harris has put on everyone with pumping all this money into the economy that wasn't backed up by anything. That led to about $28,000 a household of an inflation tax. So Kamala Harris is wrong when it comes to tariffs. We saw that in President Trump's first term. And also, they're the ones, by cutting off the energy production and also by pumping all this stimulus money into the economy, that's what caused inflation to go through the roof. Kamala Harris broke it. President Trump is going to fix it.
Well, I know he's going to speak about that tomorrow in Pennsylvania. Just, you know, in a broad stroke before I let you go, the Peggy Noonan piece that he referred to when he was speaking the other day, you know, it maybe misses the headline of that, which is that he's in the fight of his political life, no longer against, you know, old, you know, unsteady Joe Biden. He is up against a younger woman who has been vice president for the past several years. So what has changed within the campaign? You heard Kayleigh McEnany talk about the slippage with women voters. What are we going to see change based on the new shift that needs to take place because it's a new race?
Well, as voters continue to learn more about Kamala Harris, we're confident that they're going to stay with President Trump and he'll actually grow his numbers. Important thing from the recent polling, Joe Biden was at 79% with African-American voters. Kamala Harris is only at 83%. President Trump has made inroads into the Democrat Party, into Democrat voting blocs that are going to stay with him through this election. When people realize they're better off with Trump, they're going to stick with President Trump.
Okay, I think that defines the battle that is before both these candidates right there. Jason, thank you. Always. It's good to have you with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.